Welcome to Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. My name is Bornancin, a serial salesperson and entrepreneur, and I'm sitting down with the world's best sales experts to share their top secrets to sales success. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I am thrilled, humbled, grateful, and excited to have with me today my good friend Scott Leese. Scott is the SVP of Sales at Qualia and founder of Scott Leese Consulting. He's also an author of a very successful sales book, Addicted to the Process. To sum up Scott, he's a two-time top 25 AAISP inside sales leader, two-time founder, best-selling sales author, SVP of Sales and Strategic Advisor. And for those that don't know, Scott previously worked in sales for big businesses such as Main Street Hub, Democrasoft, .next, Leapfish, Reply Inc., and many more. We're so happy to have you here with us today, my man. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm thrilled to dive into your depth of sales experience and really share the audience your top secret to sales success. But before we dive in, everyone's dying to know, man, who is Scott Leese? Where are you from? How'd you get started in sales? Where have you worked? What have been your successes and failures along the way that have helped you level up in your sales career? And let's just get started with a background, man. Where are you from? How'd you get started?
I actually enjoy talking about this because I consider myself to be quite different than most sales leaders that are out there. If you've met me before or spent time around me, you probably agree. I kind of look like half a homeless person. I dress the same way now like I did in high school. I'm not wearing a suit and don't have fancy, slick back hair, and I don't like to shave, all this kind of stuff.
That's
so
awesome.
I think I catch a lot of people off guard, and get underestimated a lot. And I've dealt with that my whole life and turned that into kind of a weapon for me, to be honest with you. I grew up in a small town in Northern California called Chico, California.
Okay.
It's actually about 15 minutes from, unfortunately, where the campfire was.
I was about to say, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So that hit home for me. But I grew up there and, went to the same high school as Aaron Rodgers did in Chico. That's like claim to fame, Pleasant Valley High School.
That's crazy.
But I played sports in high school. I played baseball, tennis, basketball, soccer. I ended up going to college in the Bay Area, a small Division II school called Dominican. Played soccer and tennis there for 4 years. Was captain of both teams. Studied religion and psychology as an undergrad. Nothing to do with business whatsoever. I was not in that kind of mindset at all. I was just having a good time playing sports. Ended up going to grad school at Arizona State. Was interested in learning and like how people learn and the theory behind it, and starting to get into the concept of going into academia or potentially becoming a corporate trainer. So I liked, coaching and motivating and leading people. And then, my life took a very, very crazy turn where at 23 years old, I got extremely sick. I spent the next 4 years in the hospital fighting for my life.
Holy shit.
I've had more surgeries than I care to recount. Just brutal stuff. I got all these autoimmune diseases, ended up with severe ulcerative colitis that turned into colon cancer, turned into this thing, that thing, and the other, and just total fucking nightmare. So I lost everything. I lost my athletic career. I lost my education. I lost whatever kind of career track that I was on. And, I never had a job, to be honest with you, that wasn't involved with sports or teaching until I was 27 years old. And I had gotten done with, I say gotten done, but I still have a lot of challenges now, but I had healed to the point where I could go out into the workforce. I had one last sort of hurdle to cross. I had become addicted to opioids through all my
surgeries, right?
Time in the hospital and surgeries and recovery and all that kind of thing. So I had to kick from that. But once I was ready, I had to go figure out what the heck I was going to do with my life now. And my now wife, she got into UC Berkeley, so we were going to leave Northern California. She was going to go get her master's degree at Berkeley. And I'm sitting here going, how the fuck am I going to pay to live in the Bay Area and send my wife to grad school? And literally the only thing I could think of where my performance would dictate my income was sales. And so I started trying to find a sales job, not because I liked it, not because I had experience in it, not because I had friends who did it, who told me, hey, you should try this out. It was just, I've heard you can make a lot of money in there. And one thing I know about myself is I will outwork everybody. And I'm very, very competitive. I understand the concept of do well, get paid, do poorly, get cut. You know, as an athlete, I played some.
I love that. Do well, get paid, do poorly, get cut. Dude, I feel like nowadays it's sales has gotten a little soft. Like, I appreciate that.
Well, everybody gets oranges nowadays, apparently. But I didn't grow up in that mentality, you know. So look, and that resonated with me. I got that, right. If I play well, I'm going to play in the game, and I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to get rewarded. If I don't, I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be on the bench. So I sort of was able to apply my, you know, athletic background and competitiveness into sales. So I picked a job at the earliest stage kind of startup I could find. It happened to be this company called Reply.com. This is like 2004, I think. And they were out in Walnut Creek. And, you know, my brother's an engineer, and I remember him always telling me, you know, how frustrated he was. No matter how well he did, he got paid the same amount as somebody else. Yeah. And he had to wait like 5 years to get promoted at Accenture, this kind of thing, early in his career. And I didn't want anything to do with that. So I'm like, I'm going to do sales.
How did you hear about sales? Like, were you just like, how did you know that sales like was a limitless income potential based on performance?
That's a great question. I really couldn't tell you, to be honest with you. I don't remember.
Like, I don't know if you had like any friends that were like, damn, you can make a lot in commission.
No, I didn't have any of that. I had none of that. I obviously, I just can't remember. I obviously knew somehow that like you had unlimited commissions and sales, and you know, you can make good money. I don't even know that I could tell you at that point in my life what good money meant, other than being able to pay the bills and stuff like that. But I decided I wanted to go to an early stage company because I did not fancy myself, you know, a frontline employee. The way I looked at it, you know, I had to make up for lost time, and I had to make up for it fast. So I was going in someplace, and my job was to move up as fast as humanly possible. You know, so I took an entry-level sales job. We were calling, you know, 100 calls a day, selling online lead generation services to real estate agents and automotive dealers and that kind of thing.
That was at Reply?
Yeah. So I just, you know, started pounding the phones, and I remember being absolutely terrified at the beginning. We had like no training. You know, I don't want to go into too much detail about the company, but I didn't have much training at all. I remember driving home the first day and telling my wife, like, I am not going back. There's no way. I don't know how to sell. Yeah. I'm terrified of the phone. I suck at this. This is like not my thing. And, you know, she essentially punched me in the gut and was like, what else are you going to do? You know? And this statement from her just like hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's like something awoke in me. It's like, yeah, what else? I don't have anything else to do. And however hard this seems, this is nothing compared to what I've already been through and overcome. And the light bulb kind of went off, and I began kind of attacking it, you know, with a different type of fervor. And I poured myself into it, and, you know, kind of made it a point to turn the lights on in the morning, turn the lights off at night. We didn't have any kids at the time, and she was, you know, doing a lot of work in school. So I was just working insane hours. I got a couple people around me to agree to go in on Saturdays with me, spend like 5 hours every Saturday. Then we'd go surf, and it was just like this whole routine. And I got pretty good at it, you know. That's awesome. And from there, just been, you know, keeping the trajectory going, just building and scaling and growing sales team.
And before we dive into like your biggest learning experience at Reply, man, you know, you've got something interesting that obviously impacted your life quite a bit, which was, you know, before you got into sales, you got really sick with the autoimmune diseases, and everything else that happened with the addiction to the drugs because of the sickness. Like, how did you know, I think a lot of us, we've got a lot, like sales, you've got a lot of ups, you've got a lot of downs. You know, what's your secret to getting out of that down point and getting motivated to like get up and fight through and get going? Like, how the hell did you, like, dude, you lost a lot of time and years, right, in your mind probably, and like that could keep a lot of people down forever. How did you fucking get up and put one foot forward? Like, what's your secret to that? Well, like, how'd you do it?
I mean, I certainly don't want to make it sound like I was Superman and invincible from day one, because there was many moments during that time where, you know, candidly, I was cool if God was okay to just take me right then and there. But I did reach this point mentally. You know, I've always been a fighter and not somebody who gives up. And I did reach this point mentally where I sort of said, you can let this, you know, ruin you or hold you back your whole life, or you can turn this into a superpower. And that logic in my mind resonated with me. You know, I've got an advantage that other people don't have. You know, a lot of people go about their early 20s fucking about and wasting time at jobs and partying and not being serious about this, that, and the other. And that whole period was robbed from me. But the flip side is I emerged at 27 years old, more motivated than you can imagine, and just, you know, dying for any opportunity, any chance. You know, I can remember in the interview, the guy interviewing me said, you know, if you haven't done anything, you never had a job, why should I take a chance on you? And I was like, you're never going to find somebody more motivated than me. Like, I am an undrafted free agent just waiting in the wings, and all I just need somebody to take a chance on me, you know? And so I've turned it into, you know, like I said, this superpower, like, and it's worked very well for me. You know, a lot of people in sales have had a lot of challenges that they've been through. I'm one of them.
And what was that one liner you said? You can take this and like let it kill you, or you could turn it into superpower. What was that again? Yeah,
it was like, I can let this define me and hold me back forever, right?
Yep.
Or I can choose to turn this into a superpower and use it as an advantage that other people don't have.
Yeah.
And, you know, the perspective on life, the gratitude towards every opportunity, the making a most out of every chance that you get, the motivation that it brings you. I was just not a typical 27-year-old anymore. I think there was a certain level of maturity, and, you know, that hustle was in me. And after a little spell of a lack of confidence at the beginning of my sales job, I realized I got nothing to be afraid of. You know, nothing I ever face again in my life will be harder than what I've already been through. So stop being a chicken, get after it. You know, there's no reason to hold yourself back. Your humility or fake humility is not serving you or anyone around you.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's go for it. And it's served me very well now. You know, I think so many people in sales have come from difficult backgrounds and painful experiences. And you know, I don't think people in sales relate to somebody who came from a trust fund and, you know, has had everything handed to them. And I think I'm easily relatable. I've been through shit, you know, and I've suffered and struggled in the same way, you know, that other people have. It's given me a platform, I think, to, you know, be a better leader, be a more understanding human, you know, carry it into give me content out there for overcoming struggles or write a book about it. So I'm, you know, I don't think 100% I am not where I am today if I had not gone through that. And so as brutal as it was and as challenging as it still is with the health problems I deal with, you know, I'm happy that I've experienced it, and it's made me a better person and a better salesperson, a better leader, you know.
That's amazing, man. It seems like, well, for me personally, and then for a lot of people I interview, the failures and the hardship that they've gone through have been a big defining factor for their future success. So that's awesome to hear, you know, how you were able to fight through that. And then, you know, the positive, you know, it sounds like the lesson from that experience, well, I mean, you gave the lesson. It's, you can let this define you and hold you back forever, or you can fight and turn this into a superpower and use it as a motivator and advantage for opportunity, dude. Everyone should have that on a fucking poster in their office above their desk, man. So I love that.
That's a Scott Leese meme right there.
Yeah, dude, like that's literally fire, straight fire. I mean, I'm so glad you were able to fight through that. And then you go to Reply, you out of necessity to make money and to help pay for your wife's school. Thank gosh she was in school, because you get to work, you're ready to hustle now. Now she's slammed. And I know how that is, because I got my MBA and I started a company when my fiance went to law school. And I was so thankful, because we were both grinding 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I loved it. I keep telling her, like, you should get another degree, like, because I'm grinding so hard. Grinding so hard. I'm like, huh, like, what? I know you love psychology. Like, you should get your MD in that. But you're 3 years in at Reply, right? And you were, you worked across this 75-person team, and you were the number one sales team in the real estate vertical. Like, talk about a little bit selling there and the biggest takeaway, learning experience, success, that took you to level up for your next role at Leapfish.
I mean, this is easy, because what I figured out was the thing that was going to make me successful and made me successful at Reply was finding something that works and don't tinker with it. And I didn't know the words at that point in time, but I figured out a sales process, and I just did it over and over and over. As a big sports guy, it's like I found my batting stance and my approach when I went up to the plate, and I didn't tinker it. I didn't worry if 25 calls in a row, went south. I just trusted that my approach was the right one, and I didn't get caught into the trap of, overcorrecting, changing my process up. So I found the process, and then I was able to teach other people this same process, right? And at the time, that sale was a very transactional sale. So, like, it was a volume-driven game. Here's the numbers that we got to hit. Here's what they're going to translate into. Here's all the conversion rates, all this kind of stuff. Here's how I go about the territory. Here's how I think about all these things. Here's the extra work that I do on the side. And I was able to replicate that across a team of 15, 20 people. And then we opened an office in Arizona. And before you know it, I'm, in charge of, the sales process for both places. And all these other managers are asking me how things are going. So that was the first place I really figured out you got to have a sales process.
Was it hard? How did you, and I love the sales process and sticking to it. And I get in battles even with my VP of revenue, being a VP, like director of revenue. I always want to tinker and optimize. And he's like, execute what works. Like, stop trying to screw with optimizing. Like, we want to optimize and improve, but like, this works. Stop trying to fuck with it. How do you, because I'm the guy telling you, like, Scott, we got to keep optimizing. You're like, dude, this is good. How do you, like, not let the always be optimizing, like, overtake your execution? Because you could get stunned by that.
I was born with this fortunate gift for salespeople in that I'm not a perfectionist.
That's
this
perfect.
Allows me to be very okay with getting an A- or a B+, right? And again, to like throw it back to baseball terms, it's like, if I go 1 for 3 for you every single day, Brandon, I'm gonna bat 333 for the year. Okay. You really want to give me shit to get my average up to 340, or you just want to let me do my thing? Like, there's other things we could focus on, right? Like, maybe let's focus on power. Let's focus on your speed a little bit. So you're not going to mess with my process. I'm going to keep my process the same, but how do I keep that process going and move up market a little bit? How do I apply that process cross-functionally in our company so the CS team is also able to produce revenue at the same kind of clip that the sales team is? How do I get that process replicated for my managers that I use with them, how they manage their reps? So as long as everything's working and we're growing and we're hitting our numbers, I wouldn't say I'm totally satisfied ever, but I'm satisfied and confident not to switch up that one part. And, now, honestly, at this point in time in my life and my career, it's like, I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing. And I kind of feel like my track record shows that I know what I'm doing. So I'm very confident, you know, and push it back. So I might side with your VP of revenue more than you want me to.
No, I want you to, because I do the same with my VP of success who does a lot of sales ops for me, Mike, the other Mike. He wants it to be perfect before you launch. And I'm like, dude, I'd rather run and nail 80, 90%. And if I light 10% on fire, fuck it. Let that little part burn. And then I'm going to grow this massive forest, even though this little part burned a little bit. Because I just know, like, you could die as a startup. You could die if you don't sell and you don't move fast. You will die because you're trying to be perfect, like you said. So I think you're right. I think my VP is right of revenue, and I think there's points in time where you got to optimize. But that's awesome. So okay, you say you got to develop a process. Stop trying to obsess over optimizing it. Just execute and execute more even. And then, so you do that for 3 years at Reply, and you to walk me through the next thing. So you join.
Well, I'll actually walk you through the next couple things, because what happens to me is I sort of ceiling out, and being this still relatively young. I think I was 30 at the time that I left Reply or thereabouts. I wanted more. I wanted more money. I wanted more responsibility. I knew now that I wanted to be a sales leader. I knew now that I had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I liked building things. I liked teaching people, mentoring people, developing people. So I wanted to do more. And that opportunity wasn't there for me. So I left to go find a role that would give me the opportunity to be a VP of sales and run my own show and build out my process from scratch. So that's what I did. And similar story, 2.5, almost 3 years later there, ceilinged out, wanted to go try something new. So end up at the next place. At that place, I learned a valuable lesson, which was do a very good job vetting founders, vetting opportunity, vetting the product, because I went somewhere and failed. And it's the one place that I went to that it didn't work, and they wouldn't ship the product essentially. I was brought in because the product was supposed to be ready. My job is to get my team going.
And this was at Leapfish or at Done Next?
This is at Democrasoft now.
Okay.
This is at Democrasoft now. And, it wasn't ready, and they wouldn't ship it. And I got out of there quick. I wasn't even there a year. And that's a one blip on my resume. But what I learned from that was, you got to do a very good job now figuring out who you're going to go work for, because you are not a one-man show. You're not a hero. And I think prior to that, I thought I could do anything. I thought I could carry, the whole team, so to speak, right? Like I'm Michael Jordan, I'm Kobe Bryant. I don't care who the other 4 people are on the team. I can make it happen. So I didn't pay enough attention to that, and that was a humbling moment for me and a very important lesson to learn. So subsequently now, I've done a very good job, in my opinion, sort of vetting different opportunities that have come my way and being more selective about them and making sure they made sense, both from a market standpoint, from a geographic location standpoint for me and my family, from the dynamics of the team, of the makeup of the executive team, who's my boss, right? I've had some challenging bosses before. I'm getting to a place where I'm getting better at finding bosses that, know how to do things a particular way, I can relate to in particular ways, that trust me in particular ways. So that was a big lesson I learned from Democrasoft. And in between Democrasoft and Main Street Hub was when I first started branching out into consulting. Okay. And I have a friend, his name's Mike Lindstrom. He lives in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he's been a sales consultant and a professional coach, and he's written multiple books, and he kind of came from the Tony Robbins school. And awesome. He was a trainer one time at Reply, and he and I have stayed friends. And I remember asking him a little bit for advice on, hey, how did you get into this, sales coaching consulting thing? And, these things, job opportunities would come my way. And I really didn't want the job, but I wanted to help. And I wanted to talk to people and teach people what I, thought I knew at the time and what I'd learned. And so I started spinning these consulting gigs up. And, he was helping me out in terms of giving me the confidence that I had. If you're not used to it, it's difficult to suddenly put a price tag on your time. I mean, I want everybody to think about that for a second. Some of us who've been doing it for a long time now, it feels simple, but I want you to rewind the clock and imagine you've never done it before. How much is your time worth? How much is 30 minutes with Scott worth? How much is an hour with Brandon worth? And why? Now try to justify it. And I remember being very scared, to ask for any kind of significant dollar amount. And, Mike was behind me saying, "No, you got to ask for more money, man. You're worth it," and everything. So those consulting things landed me in front of the founders of Main Street Hub, which turned into, a very successful endeavor for me, again, for the next 2.5, 3 years. That got me out of San Francisco, where I'd been forever. We relocated the company to Austin, and that was a hell of a ride for a couple of years. We opened offices in Austin, San Francisco, Santa Monica, Manhattan. And
crazy.
I think when I left, we had like 200 sales reps in 4 different offices. Each office had about 50 people, big operation. It was right at the kind of apex and beginning of social media marketing and all that kind of thing. It was sort of before people thought you needed to be doing it. And it was at a time when people were like, what's social media? What's social media marketing? So, that was a really good ride. Got a little better there. I think at that experience, I learned the importance of sales ops. You mentioned your customer success person, also kind of does sales ops.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had any kind of help, any kind of air support, if you will. I know all these things that I need and how it needs to run and reports, but I don't want to be the guy like hacking away at Salesforce, building reports like that. That's not
when you
the
could
proper
be selling.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could be selling, I could be coaching, I could be recruiting, I could be doing so many other things. And I had an amazing sales operations team there. And then when I left Main Street Hub, I went to Outbound Engine, and
Oh yeah, and the thing that you learned at Main Street Hub was like,
I would say the importance of sales operations.
The importance of sales operations. That's smart.
More than anything, I think was the importance of sales operations.
Cool.
Juggle 3 time zones, 4 different offices, right?
And then you
leave there to
decided
go
it's
to
time to
Outbound
move
Engine.
on.
Yeah.
I'm friends with the guys that, not friends, but I kind of friends. Like Silverton and Floodgate, they like loved Seamless, but like we were raising a small round and we didn't want to do a big round. And I almost took my company to Austin, man. Like with, I know a lot of people at Capital Factory, like, I heard a lot of good things about it. I mean, now we're not leaving, like we're good in New York and Ohio, but dude, I'm a fan of a lot of the companies out your way. So you head over to Outbound Engine, and
over to Outbound Engine, and it was a fairly similar product, similar kind of customers, and was able to apply some of the lessons that I learned from Main Street Hub, and another big one was one of the things we had a challenge with at Main Street Hub that prevented us from being a $500 million company instead of a $250 million company was customer churn. And so one of the things that I implemented really quickly at Outbound Engine were a bunch of measures to sort of counter customer churn. So, I raised the prices, which you don't necessarily think is going to keep customers around longer, but it's the perception of value thing helps keep customers around longer. We implemented, annual contracts. Well, at Main Street Hub, I didn't have annual contracts at Main Street Hub.
Shit. So there was like a lot of churn at Main Street Hub.
Well, if you're in local, right, selling to SMBs, it's not like selling enterprise. You're going to have more churn just in general.
Yep.
Right. So you've really got to work hard to keep churn down to reasonable levels where the business can grow and your customers are happy and you're providing value and things like that. And so, I was trying when I got to Outbound Engine to do the best I could to impact churn as a salesperson. It's not just sell the product the right way. It's what specific decisions can I make that will help the company retain these customers and keep these customers happier longer? And, you know, when you're brand new as a VP of sales, you're probably mostly thinking about how to hit your fucking numbers so you get a commission check.
Not right? How to save customers. Yeah.
Not necessarily, right? So you start to see how these startups work, and you start to realize, and you start to get your own stupid ego out of the way, and you realize that all these things matter for everybody, the customers, your colleagues, for the founders, all this stuff.
And then you went to Outbound Engine.
Through that. And at Outbound Engine, I put those processes in place, had big office in Scottsdale, Arizona, big one in Austin, Texas.
Oh, yeah. And you did, hold on, just because you said a lot of awesome things about the Outbound Engine, the things that you did. So number one was there were a few of them. Go through them. You switched to annual contracts, right? That was one of them.
Here's a funny story. So I show up at Outbound Engine, which is a risky place at the time to go to because it's like not very far from Fume. It's like less than a year from Fuming. Yeah. They were failing. And here I was at Main Street Hub at like the peak of the wave. But I saw Outbound Engine as like a softball being thrown at me. Like, this is I can kill this. But this thing is screwed up. Like, I got to start from scratch.
And so why'd you say why'd you think that you could kill it? Was it just like the marketing automation of Outbound Engine, or like?
No, it's super similar. Same product in my mind. Same type of salesperson. Same everything in my mind.
They just needed the Superman.
Similar. They just needed somebody who knew what they were doing. Let's put it
Superman.
That way. So I went there, and they had all these things in place that were busted. They had about 30 sales reps, and I'm not kidding. I got rid of 25 of them in the first 48
sales reps. I love how you say they're on fumes and they've got 30 fucking sales reps.
I got rid of 25 of the 30 in the first like 48 to 72 hours.
How'd you know that they were just all garbage? Did you like look at just the?
You don't have to know. You have to show up and say, hey, here's how things are going to be from here moving forward. This is how I run things. We're gonna be here at this particular time. Here's the effort that I expect and demand. Here's the challenges that we're gonna go through. Here's the changes I'm making straight away. If you're in for it, let's go. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna defy the odds, and you're gonna have a good career, and I'm gonna teach you a lot, and I'm gonna help you get to your next place. If you don't buy that, you don't buy me, you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to work that hard, show yourself the door. And a bunch of people did show themselves the door right away. Then a bunch of people will test you. And so you got to make do on your promises. So I showed them the door, and, it doesn't take very long whatsoever. But there I was with 5 people, and those 5 people were like, finally, somebody is here who knows what they're doing. All 5 of those people ended up in VP level positions within 4 years. A couple of them inside of Outbound Engine. One of them works with me right now as my director of strategic accounts here at Qualia, where I work now.
That's amazing. Oh yeah, and you said people test you, like what? Like,
well, like you might say, for example, okay, the minimum dial requirement is 50, right? And you walk up to them like, hey, I wasn't playing, right? Or this place didn't have set work hours for the sales team, and in my opinion, it's very important for the sales team to kind of push and pull together, like tug of war. We're in this together, so I want everybody there at a particular time. So, some guy on day 2 strolls in at 10 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, it ain't going to work out, bro. Like, you got to get out of here. Found another guy as I was walking back from lunch, guy sitting at the bar, got a shot of whiskey and a pint of something. And that's the number one salesperson in the company at the time. And I walked in, I paid for his tab and told him not to come back, that you're fired. Never saw him again. And then everybody's like, oh my God, you just fired the number one salesperson. I'm like, I don't need that guy. I will train somebody else to be the number one salesperson. So I had a good ride at Outbound Engine too,
Oh yeah. So you get in, you first changes you make, you get rid of all the dead weight.
Start from scratch. Change the price, change the contract terms, change the way that we were selling.
And let's talk about those. So you changed the price, the contract terms, and the way that you were selling. So the price, what was it priced at, and then what did you change it to?
I literally think it was like $20 to $60 a month, and I moved it to $200 to $600.
Wow,
a huge price change.
We're
Well, everyone told me it
how'd you
wasn't
even think to do that? Be like
because
confident.
I've been selling to small local businesses forever, and I know that their threshold is $300 a month.
Got it.
Right? If I get to $500 a month, I'm going to have challenges. If I go sub $100, they're going to have this try and buy kind of mentality, and if they don't see instant results, they're going to throw it away.
Yeah.
So I knew these kind of things from the experience.
Cool. Okay, cool. So you changed the price to, you basically 20x'd it, which is fucking awesome. And then you changed the contracts, were they month to month?
They had no contract. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So they were month to month. I bet you churn was churn like what? Well, okay. Were their contracts month to month or, oh, they had no contract. So it was like, you could sign up.
Month to month.
Yeah, month to month. So their churn was probably really high.
It was higher than I care to share, but it ended up being really good. It ended up being much lower than I had it at Main Street Hub, and that ultimately was what drove a lot of the success at Outbound Engine.
Got it. So then you decide, why'd you change it from month to month to annual?
To affect churn, to make sure
reduce churn, get people locked in,
and to make sure people were buying for the right reasons that really saw value. Then that goes into how I decided to change how they were selling. They were selling at the time just barfing up what the product is and then all these specials. And I'm like, what are you doing? You know? And at this point in time, my philosophy on sales had already crystallized, which is my like addiction method. You know, the way that I tell people how to sell is the way you teach somebody to kick an addiction. You get them to admit they have a problem. You get to them to understand why it's important to fix this particular problem. Then you spend time making them understand it's an urgent problem to solve. We need to act now, not later. And then and only then do I start talking to people about the solution, which is, you know, my product. I can't just walk up to you and be like, hey, Scott, you know, I got this kick-ass rehab facility that you should go to. I'm going to tell you to buzz off. I don't have a problem. What are you talking about? So I changed the way we sold. We start talking to people and say, hey, you know, you got this problem going on here. This is what I can see from looking at your websites and the listings that you have and this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, only at the end. And that's how I teach everybody to sell now, no matter what the product is. That's how we sell here at Qualia. You know, we sell title insurance software to real estate agents and title companies. All right. And it is a complex industry, a complex sales cycle. It is not transactional whatsoever. Big, long sales cycle, big price tags. But I don't show up with my sales reps and just start telling everybody what our software does. I get them to admit that their current software is flawed and find out what their challenges are, what their pain points are with it. And then we have a conversation about what it would mean to get rid of those kind of things. And, you know, then the urgency piece comes in. Well, you know, what are you trying to do next year? What's the cash look like? What are you trying to get to revenue wise? Are you going to be able to get that without making these kind of changes? Oh, shoot, we should probably do something soon. Well, now you're open to hearing about my solution. And that had crystallized itself, you know, by the time I was at Outbound Engine. And that, in those moments was when I started thinking about writing the book. And so when I left Outbound Engine, I got the book done. You know, I cranked it out in about 4 months. I think I started in November and it got released in May of 2016, maybe.
Yeah. And by the way, congrats. Like, Scott was on the line and I've been reading it for the past week. It's freaking awesome. Addicted to the Process. It's on Amazon. I was giving him shit because I want to listen to it in my car and while I work out and I can't, but he promises he'll get the audio. The Amazon Kindle is great. It's 98 pages, super quick read.
Yeah. So, you know, was able to crank that out and then really expanded my.
Oh yeah. What made you decide to do that, by the way? So like.
To write the book?
Yeah.
Well, I had people, a combination of two things. I had people for a while tell me, man, you know, you got an interesting story and sales philosophy that's a little bit different. You know, you should put it out there. And then, you know, when I left Outbound Engine, I was just doing a bunch of consulting and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. So I had some time, and I just decided to bite the bullet, and I did it I really didn't do it trying to make money or anything like that. It was sort of like a personal passion project and a little bit of like a calling card, if you will. Like, if you don't know me very well and you go read that book, you'll have a pretty good insight into who I am as a person, and that's very helpful to me now in the line of all the different lines of work that I'm in. I had actually a call this morning with somebody who's thinking about bringing me on as an advisor. And the guy was like, I just read your book in the last, 2 days. So now I have some questions for you. Like, that's a great, calling card for me, a great introduction into who I am and how I think. Into how I think and stuff. So that was why, but
that's awesome.
I've been lucky that it's been received very well. And, I've had some nice help from friends and colleagues who've pushed it around and shared it and everything like that. So.
And what were some other, not to get back on topic. So you changed the price, you changed the team, you changed how they sell. What was your biggest learning experience, takeaways, success, failure of that? I mean, it sounds like Outbound Engine was a shitload of change, like bets or risks, but you've been there before, so you knew what you were doing, that they would pay off. Like, I don't know, what was the biggest thing the takeaway for you to do the next thing, or that you would share with the audience from everything you learned from Outbound Engine and in sales?
Honestly, just that your people and your team matters more than anything else, more than your own personal success. More than the company's success. To me, it became all about the people and the relationships that I formed there. These are people who came to me to learn, came to me to earn, came to me to develop, and that's my primary focus. And as long as I am true to that, whether I'm at that company, this company, or the next company, I'm committed to helping people around me and developing those people. And I would say that I've learned more than anything that it's the people around me that I need to take care of and I need to help. That's what matters. It's those relationships that stick with you, and I'm starting to, I'm not so young anymore. So I start to think more about, the legacy that I might leave behind. And those people who worked with me for the last 15 years, they are the legacy. The ones now who run their own businesses, the ones now who, are in VP roles or CEO roles, or, they still reach out to me and brag to me about their successes. I actually saw this post, I think it was today actually, from Brandon Cassidy from on LinkedIn. I'm sure you know who that is if you don't know him already personally, but he was literally talking about this exact thing. He was, I don't think he used this phrase, but it's like the coaching tree. I know your partner there has loved the Patriots. He's got his Patriots hat on. It's like Bill Belichick's coaching tree, like sprouts off all these guys, like the coach of the Lions and Josh McDaniels when he coached Denver and all that. And that's a legacy. And there is a tremendous amount of pride and joy you get from seeing all these other people, succeed. And I think probably more than anything, that's what I will take away from my time at Outbound Engine.
Yeah, the team and being a servant and legacy leader to the team, man. Once I figured that out, once I figured that out for the team and for the customer, being a servant / legacy leader, I became a millionaire. And that was like the fastest fucking change for my income. One of them, a lot of the things that you talk about in this interview. So that's incredible, man. And then, I love that you made it. Sounds like, I'm going to throw out a seed. It sounds like, don't be scared of change. Like Scott went in there and changed everything. And probably changed a lot of shit that everyone was really scared of. Like, if I hired Scott and he's like, yo, we're going to do this, 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 and it's totally different from what we're doing, I better have brought Scott on, like looking at his background, like this is a smart guy. He's done this before. He knows how to do it. Cause you could get freaked out from that change. And it sounds like that's what they did. They brought you in because it was fumes, dying.
Yeah.
They have 30 sales reps. Like, oh my God, these sales reps are barely working or what, dude? So I love that you made all that change from people to process to price to selling strategy. And then, what made you decide, was it just, what made you decide to do the next thing? Obviously, Qualia, the settlement platform.
Yeah.
You at that time, you kind of launched your own consulting thing with the book, which is awesome. And then Qualia, is this high transactional sales? You said it was a lot of money. Like this is like totally different, right?
Totally different. Yeah, totally different. This goes back to like the underdog thing. I can remember more than one person saying to me, well, you're a transactional guy. You can never do enterprise sales. It's like, you know what? I'm a sales leader. Okay. Sales is sales. Understanding people is understanding people. I don't care if the product is $5 or $500,000.
Yeah.
Some people, can exist doing both. And
I think it's the opposite.
Little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to show that I could do both. I think,
dude. I think if you could do transactional sales, you could do anything. Like I think it goes.
I would tell you that sentiment is not necessarily shared by everybody out there in the world. So there needs to be more people like you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did enterprise sales, studied transactional sales, and 10x my income. So like, like if you know how to get money.
Yeah.
And you know how to make money, like you can apply that to anything, like you said, whether it's $50 or $500,000 or $5 million.
I've explained it with an analogy. It's like it's far easier for me to dial somebody down than it is for me to dial somebody up. Right?
I'd rather pull someone that's climbing a mountain in Costa Rica. I'd rather have to pull them back because they're running so damn fast versus having to push them up the damn mountain when we're about to surf in Costa Rica. Like you said, like dial them down or dial them back. Like, and why do you say that? Why do you say you rather dial them down versus dial them up?
Because I just find it easier. I have found that I can take somebody who's used to making 100-something calls and has the sort of natural assertiveness to push for next steps, to push for contracts, to hold the line on price, all this kind of thing. I can teach them to tone it down a little bit and operate a little slower and operate, more within the customer's timeline. I can teach them that. I can't take these people who've, been working these big enterprise deals. I can't take them and get them to pick up the fucking phone 50 times a day. I can't get them to want to prospect. This is off topic, but it gets this whole like entitlement of AEs now who, I'm only going to be able to do something if I just demo it. Like I don't prospect. I just run a demo. I just collect credit cards and contracts. It's like, no, I don't need that person. I don't need that person. I want the underdog person. I want the person everybody else said is never going to make it. So let me have that kid who, worked at the retail store in the mall and then worked at Main Street Hub and is now ready to, move up market, and everybody else thinks he can't do it. You know why? Because I am that kid and I did it. And give me as many more people who think like that. And we'll make it a success. But I took this job because at Qualia, this is like the title industry is an antiquated industry.
So old.
There has been no change in this industry in 25, 30 years. I think before us, the most recent entrant into the software field is like 25, 30 years old. So I thought, well, this is like a, $1 trillion business, the real estate business as a whole. And
it's so old. Yeah.
I found this entry point that's been totally ignored. I have no modern competitors whatsoever. Nobody in this space has a SaaS style model. Nobody has a SaaS selling, sales organization. Nobody knows how to run a customer success organization. Nobody has, 24 engineers from Stanford. Nobody's backed by, Menlo and 8VC and this kind of. I'm like, I'm going to kill this. That was what I thought. I'm like, we're going to kill this. This is phenomenal. So I took this gig and I had like 6 or 7 other offers on the table. My family was about to move to Berlin, Germany. We were about to move to San Diego. I mean, we had an offer in Denver. Like, we were all over the place.
Crazy.
And I ended up at Qualia on a second arm of a consulting gig. And I was struck by how much progress they had made since the first time I had talked to them. And I sort of pushed myself on them. They weren't ready to hire a VP of sales. And I'm like, no, you need a VP. You need me now. You know,
wow.
So it was the first time in my life that I sort of pushed myself into
the client
when people weren't really, pushed myself into the client when they didn't really want it at the time. So I've been here a little over 2 years now, and it's been great. And, you know,
how did you know they were ready for a VP of sales? Like just the growth, the revenue growth, or what?
No, funny story. They didn't have a single customer when I came on board. 0. They had hired 3 account executives. They had hired 3 account executives who'd been there for a couple months. And, you know, the product had grown tremendously, and they had been trying to sell, and everything they were doing was just like totally wrong. I'm like, well, this is a fixable problem, and you're going to give me a best-in-class product with best-in-class engineers. I can create a best-in-class sales and customer success engine. Like,
you're like, the engine is easy for me to create. The product and the development and all that jazz is the hardest.
It's the hardest, and it's also hard to get that in a space where it's not crowded. You know, it's not like
really hard to get it into a space that's not crowded, man. Everything's crowded now.
Yeah. Well, knock on wood, my industry is not crowded at the moment, right? So I just felt like it was a big advantage, and I came in mid-November of 2016. We had no customers, and in December of 2016, we sold 17 deals. And that December, I was like, oh fuck, we're on to something, you know. And the rest is
so that was like 2 or 3 months after you joined. Yeah. You're like, damn, we had
6 weeks.
Crazy.
6 weeks. Took me 2.5 weeks or so to figure out how the hell this industry even worked, and then another week or so to recraft how we were going to sell it. And then, you know, short month of December, we started booking deals and booking revenue, and, you know, we just finished our second full year now, and we got 140 people in the company. We got 60 something people in San Francisco and 70 people here in Austin, and been a good ride so far.
Dude,
you know,
that's awesome.
And I've managed to grow this while building and growing my consulting business, adding all these strategic advisory gigs, launching Surf and Sales, which I'm, you know, super proud of and excited about. So, you know, I'm in a good place, you know.
And what so let's talk about it, because the price point of this service, this Qualia platform, what's the price point of it? And then I want to talk about like applying what you learned from high transactional sales to this to be successful. And
yeah, we will do deals from, you know, $5,000 to $150,000 or so right now. Now, I strategically have stayed away from the top end of the market. I wanted to wait until we had momentum, until we had nailed our sales process, our onboarding process. We had time to get our brand out there more. I didn't want to go make the mistake that people do where they create a company and they put all their eggs in one basket to try to close a $10 million deal.
It's so slow. It's so slow going on.
I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'm like, we need momentum. We need traction. And that's the transactional guy in me.
And we need to learn too. Like, dude, you get a few of the 5Ks, you learn, then you get the 20, then you learn, and you get the 50.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, I use those early customers as a way to push the product team to fix things and make it better, to nail our process. So now, you know, if I go to some of the big accounts, which we're going to start going after the larger accounts next year, really for the first time, it's like, hey, you know who we are now. We got 10% market share in the last 2 years. Yep. We're top 3, maybe 4th in the entire industry. Well, now I got your attention. Whereas 2 years ago, if I would have tried that, I'd been like, man, get out of here. You know?
Damn. That's awesome.
So you know, that's that transactional part of me is like, we need to learn
momentum.
We need to show momentum.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like lean selling almost. Like, let's just fucking go. Let's start driving some revenue. Let's start learning. Let's start hearing what customers say. And then we slowly scale up and up. Was the goal always to slowly scale up and up? Or like, you know, when you got to that 5, 10, 20K deal size, were you like, nah, let's stay here?
Yeah. No, it's the nah, let's stay here. It's the discipline to be like, no, we're not going out. You know, I segmented out like, here's our top 500 accounts. Here's our top 200. Nobody touched those. I literally just like pull them out of our lead pool. Nobody's touching them unless they inbound, which we had a couple inbound, but we kept them out. We isolated them. And now I've got, you know, the plan in place to start to go after those. I think we'll drop a couple of those in 2019, but really we'll lay the groundwork in 2019 for, you know, crushing those in 2020. That's my plan in my head at least.
What's been the biggest learning experience takeaway at Qualia? And then we're going to move into, you know, your top sales secret, which the audience is dying to know. But what was the biggest thing you took away at Qualia? You know, you're coming from high transactional sales. You take a bet on this brand new market, more enterprise type of deal. Tell us what that is.
Well, I mean, my personal level, my biggest takeaway is all those people who said if you can do transactional, you probably can't do enterprise are full of shit.
Stupid.
So on a personal level, it's like, come on, man. If a guy can coach, a guy can coach. Whether it's a high school team, a pro team, whatever. So on a personal level, that's a big takeaway for me. You know, I applied more and more thought to keeping customers long-term and sort of post-sale kind of revenue activities. So I raised the prices when we got to Qualia. I actually doubled them.
Of course you did.
Doubled them, and I've actually raised them 3 times since I've been inside Qualia. So I kind of keep raising them a little bit. We also,
I know if you coach me, you're going to tell me, Brandon, we got. I know the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth is, Brandon, we're raising the prices. I'm going to be like, damn it.
We also, we do prepay. So everybody pays in full
up front.
Whether
no
that's
more chasing money.
No, whether it's 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year deal. So I got people doing 5 year deals or paying me all 5 years up front. And does that make my sale harder? Hell yeah, it makes my sale harder. 100% it makes it harder. But I want to sell, you know, the right way. I want to make sure people, you know, are not being pressured, that they get the value out of this, that they're committed long term. And this is a big change for people in our industry. They're ripping out their whole platform and adopting a new platform. So, yeah, I made those switches, and we've got these additional products that move really, really fast as sort of upsell products. And one of the things I think that I did that was smart was not bake those into the main sale up front. Because what would happen in the main sale up front is it would be way too complicated. I'd be talking about the platform. I'd be talking about the marketplace. I'd be talking about the portal. There's too many things going on. It's like, you know, it's like walking into the beer section at the liquor store or the grocery store, and you're just overwhelmed. Do you ever see those guys and they're just paralyzed? They're like,
no, I am one of those guys. I'll walk in and I'm like, I don't know what to do or get.
Yeah, I can't handle that, right? So I'm like, well, if we're just going to talk about the platform up front, I'm going to let the customer success team bring in the revenue on these other additional products. And that's something that, you know, sort of evolved again in my thought process and learnings from, you know, previous roles that I've had, where before I might have been like, no, all that revenue is mine, right? I want to own all that stuff. I want my number to be, you know, looking bigger. Nah, you know, I know that we're selling this the right way. I know it's making our customers successful. I know it's making our customer success team successful. So those are probably the big things so far at Qualia.
Dude, that's amazing. That's incredible. So, Scott, you've learned a hell of a lot from, you know, studying, teaching, and all the way through going through a near-death experience and then getting addicted to to drugs because of the health issues, to then overcoming that and going into sales out of necessity, to freaking, not go homeless and pay for your wife's schooling, and went into sales to literally just cover the bills, or else we're going to be on the streets. And then you crush these high transactional sales opportunities all throughout, Cali, and then into Austin. Dude, you've been through a lot now. You're crushing it at Qualia. The audience is dying to know, man. Sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. If you had one thing, one secret to maximize your sales success, if you had one thing to tell yourself, from today moving back to when you first started in sales, or you just hired a new team of 30 and you could only give them one secret, what is your secret to sales success?
I want to break the rules and give two.
Go for it. I love it. Dude, it's like a bonus.
Yeah. So my first answer is I would have got started way sooner. I didn't get started until I was 27 thinking about things seriously. And looking back on it, that was really, really partially stupid, partially not my fault. But if there's anybody out there who's like in high school listening, or, in college and building businesses and thinking about their career and sales, it's like, get into it now. Don't wait. Don't wait until you're 30 or later to finally take this stuff seriously. Because I think I missed a lot of opportunity. I sometimes wonder where I would be, if I had started, right away. So
wow.
That's one piece of advice. But that's the bonus.
I think you could apply that too, and let me know if you agree or disagree, but you could apply that to everything. If you're not fucking taking your scripting seriously, take it seriously. If you're not taking the process seriously, start taking it seriously. Don't wait. Yeah. Start now. Start sooner. Don't lose time not taking this stuff seriously. Even if you're already in sales as an average performer, top performer, like triple down and start taking this stuff seriously and get better at this stuff. And I'm taking notes on my phone. Okay, that's. And when you say take it seriously, like let's just say you're already in sales, because a lot of the audience is already in sales. Like when you say take it seriously, get started sooner. Like,
how seriously are they taking it? How ambitious are you? You said before, like, you made changes and now you're a millionaire. I mean,
well, I was until I invested everything back into my company. Yeah. Now I'm broke as shit.
When I first started selling, like, if you would have told me that making $1 million was possible, I would have thought you were absolutely insane, crazy, right? I didn't have that big of a vision, that kind of dream. So, when I say take it seriously, I mean, why can't I be a millionaire? Why can't our audience be a millionaire? Why can't they make that career through sales? Why can't they take sales and use everything they learn there and become entrepreneurs and start their own businesses, whether it's a SaaS business or a consulting business or a surf business like mine? It doesn't matter, right? Take it seriously, expand, get multiple streams of revenue going. So any and all of this kind of stuff, right?
It's awesome.
That's what I mean by take it seriously. There's plenty of people out there making $125,000 at 28, 30 years old, and they think that, well, I take it seriously. I'm doing pretty well. Oh, really? I'm 41 years old. I got a family of 4. $110,000 is not going to cut it for me, right? Yep. Life gets expensive. And
take out taxes, take out cost of living, depending on where you live. Like, shit, it's nothing.
So get serious about it. But here's the
bonus.
practical one, tip for the 1%, right? It's 4 words, and they have to go in this particular order.
All right, I got my phone. I'm taking notes.
Yeah. Pain, value, urgency, solution.
Okay.
That's the tip.
PVUS. Okay, go for it. What does that mean?
It's find pain, build value, create urgency, discuss solution. And you do it in that order. That's my, addiction method of selling. Get somebody to admit they have a problem, help them understand that fixing that problem is important, get them to a place where they realize they need to act now, and then get them into rehab, so to speak.
And create urgency, and then the solution, deliver the solution.
Discuss solution.
Discuss solution. Damn, PVUS, find pain, build value, create urgency, discuss solution. And because this is such fire and I love acronyms, to find, I really do. I don't know why. I love acronyms as much as I love high transactional sales, because if you can master both, then dude, anything's possible. Find the pain. What is some of your like best ways to find the pain and to build the value?
Well,
because like if you find the pain and you deliver the value, you could create the urgency and then share your solution. But I feel like those two are like the hardest to do: finding the pain and delivering and building the value.
Well, how do you get somebody to admit that they have a problem? You don't accuse them straight away, right? You don't necessarily just demonstrate to them right away. You have to delicately go about it if you actually care about the particular customer. If you don't care about the customer, you can just be like, hey, Brandon, I was taking a look at LinkedIn and looks like you're hiring like 47 different roles right now. It seems like you guys have a recruiting problem, right? But you might be like, whoa, holy shit, guy just slapped me upside the head, right? Yep. Yep. Instead, I might look at your page and be like, oh, Seamless is hiring like a bunch of roles, man. Tell me about some of these roles that you're looking for. Where have you been looking? Where are you trying to find them? Who have you been connecting with? You know, are you working with anybody? How long they've been open? And I just start digging and you just start asking questions. And eventually, if you get somebody to, you know, start talking, they will tell you everything that you need to know through answering your question.
Just ask. Just ask really great caring. It sounds like you're asking, like, have really great, caring, specific discovery questions. Not accusatory questions. Just questions that show concern and care for the well-being of your customer. Yep. You know? And do that in a way like, be a servant or legacy leader, and ask those discovery questions to find the pain with what they're trying to accomplish. Because if you're a servant leader, you're going to ask great questions that identify the pain, that then open up where you could bring in build that value. Yeah. It sounds like.
So for example, you know, your pain might be, how do I get this company to a nine-figure company?
Yeah, we talked, right? Like literally I jumped on. I'm like, dude, I need to get to 8 and then I need to get to 9 figures ASAP, back-to-back years. I want to be back-to-back world champion.
So it's like, well, you know, what are some of the things that you think right now are in the way of that or holding you back?
Number one, underpriced. Like, and I know you're going to I know you're going to talk to me and you're going to come to me and you're going to be like, number one, overpriced. I mean, underpriced. I'm like, right? Damn it. And I know and I know the second thing you're going to say is annual contracts only. Yeah. Because right now we do month to month and we do annual, and I have a good feeling you're going to be like annual.
Yeah, why do you have month to month contracts?
Well, like we launched this.
I don't want to accuse you.
No, dude. Like no, but like so like we just launched the product in February, similar to like what you were talking about with Qualia, like why you went lower versus high market, like. We want to get people on the platform. We want to get feedback. We want to optimize the product. We want to build like just momentum. So it was just like, look, we need feedback to improve the product, to optimize our sales, optimize our customer success system. So that's what we did. And now going into year 2 of having the product in 2019, we're like, it's time to level up.
Yeah, I think, and that all that makes sense. And so, you know, I think my advice would be, it's time to shed the month to month, right? Time to shed the try and buy kind of mentality. Like you've matured enough. You've been around for 10 months. You got 10 months worth of data, you know? So yep. I would just keep asking you like, well, what else? What are the other things holding you back? Right. Yeah. And so as you're talking, like you're telling me now
all the pain.
Right. Yeah. And so then it's like, well, what is fixing some of that stuff do? What would happen if you, what would happen if you doubled the price? What would happen if all of your customers were in annual contracts or multi-year contracts? Like, how would that impact your revenue? How would that impact your churn? How would that impact your ability to raise more money if that's something that you're looking to do. Like,
how would that impact how much you could afford to invest on acquiring a customer, your cost to acquire a customer? All these things get dramatically impacted by all of these decisions all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now, you know, you theoretically, the picture starts to get painted where you're like, okay, I got this problem. Fixing that problem could be pretty valuable to me. And now let's talk about your timeline. Like, you want to be 8 figures by the end of 2019.
Yep.
And you want to be 9 figures by the end of 2020.
Yes.
It seems to me if you're going to make some of these changes,
you got to go right now.
There you go. Right.
There's no time to waste, dude.
There you go. Right.
Like, and by the way, Scott tried to push this convo out like weeks. And I'm like, dude, we're talking today. One, because I got to get you in the book, dude. You've got an amazing story. 2, like, I got to get to 8 and I got to get to 9. And I know you're one of the guys that could help us do that. So I want to interview you for the book, which would help me learn more about you. So if we work together, I'll know everything about your experience. And that's yeah. I mean, dude, you got to act fast. Yeah. So you're probing like you're doing. That's how you uncover the pain. And it sounds like you got to be confident. Like, ask the damn questions. What I learned in high transactional sales is you got to ask the question. Like,
just be direct.
Whatever's on your mind in the sales process, fucking ask, because it will help you identify the pain so that you can build better value and then create better urgency to offer the right solution. You know, pain, value, urgency, solution. The only way to find the pain is if you ask the questions that are in your head that you're scared to ask right now when you're talking to the prospect. Just ask them.
You got it.
Wow. Find pain, build value, create urgency, discuss solutions, PVUS, and start sooner. Get into it now. Don't wait. Don't lose time not taking this stuff seriously. Boom, dude. Scott Leese, 2 times top 25 AAISP inside sales leader, SVP sales expert, strategic advisor, 2-time founder, Amazon #1 best-selling author. My friend, where can people find, learn, subscribe, follow, and connect with you today?
Well, you can find my book on Amazon, Addicted to the Process. We've already talked about that. I'm on Twitter, but LinkedIn is like, that's my home. You know, you try to connect with me on there, but I'm maxed out on connections, so I can't even connect with somebody unless I delete somebody else. But you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm very good at responding to people. I respond to anybody. I've put my phone number out on LinkedIn before and given people free advice over text messages. You hit me up over email, scott.leese@gmail.com. Send me messages through LinkedIn. I'm one of those like inbox zero obsessive types. So, you know, I will get back to you. I will get back to everyone. I'm happy to connect with anybody.
So hit up Scott Leese, follow him because you can't connect with him on LinkedIn. Dude, what was your secret to growing your network on LinkedIn? This is a third bonus, by the way. What's your secret to getting?
That's episode 2, Brandon. That's episode 2.
Dude, like, because you were just talking about this on LinkedIn. You're like, dude, I hate that I can't connect with anyone. I saw this today or yesterday.
It drives me nuts. I don't understand this about LinkedIn. I like once or twice a year, I post on LinkedIn, like, please get rid of connection limits, you know? And I think I understand maybe why they do it, but for somebody in my business, it doesn't make sense. I'm constantly recruiting. I'm constantly recruiting for dozens of companies all across the globe at the same time. Right. I'm trying to build my brand and my, network and my influence. Yeah. Right. So it prevents me from helping myself and helping other people. So I don't get it. What's my secret? I just made it a point to do it. I literally just decided. I had this moment. I only did this in the last year and a half or so, by the way. This is not like something that I've been working on for a long time. I think I was talking to John Barrows, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Or I saw
he was on the show a few days ago.
And he made this post or something that was like, if you're not maximizing your LinkedIn, network, like you're not doing your job. And I was just like, fuck, this guy's right. So I just literally was like, I just started trying to connect with everybody in sales, everybody who's the VP of sales, every founder, every CEO. And I didn't know there was a 30,000 connection limit. I just hit it. And then I figured it out. I'm like, oh crap.
I'm almost there. Oh, so you were just like, did you like set a quota? Like, you're a high transactional sales guy. Were you like, I'm going to add X amount of people a day or something?
Yeah. Couple hundred a day.
I knew you fucking set a quota. I knew it. Cause I'm thinking about setting a quota right now. I've got $5,000 left. I'm at like 25K and I'm scared to hit the quota, but I'm like every day I got my quota. I'm going to connect with the people that I like, my sales audience that I care about.
You know, here's what I did. People think that it's not possible, but like, think about all the fucking time people waste on, you know, Instagram, looking at memes or
Facebook,
Snapchat videos or whatever.
Shit.
Like, so I'm standing in line and I'm just like, hey, Brandon, I see you're a founder, you're a cool looking company. I'm in sales. Let's connect. Let me know if I can ever be helpful. Right. And just like 50 in Boston, 50 in New York, 50 in Charlotte, 50 in Chicago, 50 in Miami. Right. And I'm standing in line waiting to vote and stuff like that.
I do it all the same thing. Yeah, when I'm at the gym in the 5 a.m., dude, I'm doing cardio and I want to blow my brains out. I'll connect with people. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And when my fiance is watching these stupid shows, Real Housewives of whatever, I'll be working or connecting.
You find a way to be productive with it. Yeah. And you know, I'm telling you, a lot of cool relationships and a lot of cool business opportunities have come from doing that. So, tip number 3. Don't be one of those people that's like, oh, I only connect with somebody if I know them. No, connect with everybody. You never know who's going to be of value and you never know who you can be of value to.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, thank you everyone. And thank you, Scott, for joining us today for this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Thrilled to have Scott on the show. Order your copy of the book at secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%. We release new episodes every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to never miss an episode.